And we are live. Hi, Haley. How you doing?
Oh, you have refresh your YouTube page, Mama.
Me?
Yeah, that way you can see
Okay.
the.
Hang on. Oh, there.
And then mute your little slider bar.
I already did.
There we go. And we're here.
Okay. We we are here. We are live
We're
once
alive.
again. Well,
Let's go. Oh,
welcome to Let's Talk Paranormal. Granted, we are coming to you tonight on a Thursday instead of a Tuesday. Had some other things I had to do on Tuesday, so here we are. How are you, Haley? You doing good tonight?
I
Sounds
am
like
just doing
Axe
some.
is typing. Axe is typing away there.
I am. I'm doing some promoing.
Okay. Um, so tonight, not sure who all's in here. Maybe I should wait a few minutes, see if some more people show up because we are just a hair early, about 20 minutes early.
That's
Um,
fine. The sooner, I mean, whatever. It's alright.
you know, there you're promoing, I'm promoing.
What is going on here?
Now,
Everybody is so loud. I need to just mute people for
oh,
for like two
you're
hours.
gonna mute me too?
No, I just had to mute people for like 2 hours.
Yeah. See here.
The 100, I love it.
What was that?
The hearts and 100s, I love it.
Oh, Haley has a meeting soon, so we
Yeah.
will. Well, hopefully your meeting doesn't last too long, and you can come back to the show and join back in with us. So, are you? Do you think you're ready to go, Axe?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. As we said, tonight's show is on ghost towns.
Yeah.
Now, last week when we did our show on, yeah, what did we do a show on last week? I'm
Tuesday.
old. I know we did it on Tuesday. Trying to. Oh, we did it on ships, on haunted ships.
Oh,
That's what it
yes.
was. And I didn't. I didn't get to say that I want to thank my son Timothy for his suggestion on the Mary Celeste, and I'm trying to remember who it was that suggested the other ship. The what was it called? The something Dane or the
I don't know.
it was the one that exploded. That all the crew members, even the dog, had distorted faces. And
Oh, the Ramadan?
yes, that's it.
That was from Kit. She suggested it to me and I suggested it to you.
Okay, so basically, my bad. Last week I should have thanked my son Timothy for the Mary Celeste and Kit for that one, but
Yeah.
we forgot to. So we're going to start with thanking you tonight if you're listening. Um, like I said, tonight is Haunted Towns. And so, I mean, we're going to start with hey, it's almost Halloween. So we got to tell this one.
Well,
Do you want
before
to
we do
go?
that, I also want to thank Ty for suggesting one of the towns.
Right. Ty
Um,
did suggest the town this week.
yes, he suggested one of them. So thank you, Ty, for that. We will be getting to that one in a minute.
And we hope more listeners, if there's something you would like us to talk about, reach out to us, shoot us a text, a message, on Messenger, whatever. Um, if you have us, just let us know what you want to talk about. If it's in, I better be careful how I say that. If it's something I'll talk about, yes, paranormal,
We
just
could
so
talk
we
about cursed objects,
cursed object, haunted objects, any of that.
like Ouija
Um,
boards and stuff like that. Monkey paw.
Well, yeah, well, Ouija boards aren't cursed. It's just people need to know how to use them. So,
So that took people
anyway,
went fast. Anyway, continuing
mm,
on.
are you ready to talk about our first town?
Yeah.
Okay, so tonight, our first town, as I said, it's almost Halloween. So, we can't have Halloween without discussing this particular town.
Mm-hmm.
Now, originally, this town was incorporated, it was called Terrytown, and it's in New York. And maybe some of you will know what town I'm already, maybe you already know what I'm talking about. But this is the town we now today call Sleepy Hollow. And we've all heard the story of Sleepy Hollow and Ichabod Crane and the Headless Horseman.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how much of that is true? Well, we're going to get into a little bit of that tonight. The story was written by
Maybe.
Washington Irving, and not all of it is true. Some of it is based, some of the characters are based on real people. Their names were changed. Um, but as far as the headless horseman riding around on a horse trying to kill Ichabod Crane, well, that's all fiction. That's, that's not even part of it. Um, Now, Terrytown, uh, which was called, as I said, in 1996, they changed it to Sleepy Hollow to fit the, everybody knew that's what it was by its name. Because back in, let's see, when was it? I'm trying to think here. Help me out here, Axe. It was originally.
The church was built in 1687, if that's what you're talking about, and it's still
Well,
one
that
of
was
the oldest. Oh wait, what?
well, no, no, no. The town itself was incorporated, and I can't remember the date, but the original Dutch settlers had referred to this area as the Slappers Haven. I don't know if you seen any of that acts, but it was called the Slappers Haven or the Sleepers Haven, which roughly translated to Sleepy Hollow. Okay, so this is basically how the town got its name, Sleepy Hollow, and then of course the gentleman, what did I say his name was? I forgot. Washington Irving. That he published Sleepy Hollow, the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, should I say, in 1820. And so, of course, my whole life, I've known. I mean, I'd heard the story Sleepy Hollow. Probably we've all probably watched the movie Sleepy Hollow. Um, so it wasn't haunted, and parts of it they do say are haunted. I'm not sure what parts you got, Axe. I have the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery.
That is part of one that I pulled up. Yes.
To be honest, none other than Washington Irving, the author of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. That is his final resting place. So he is in the cemetery. I don't know if he's haunting it. What else do you
Believe it.
have as a haunted place there in Sleepy Hollow?
So I have the church. So the church in Sleepy Hollow, it's one of the most famous ones. It's still in use even today, even though it was built in 1687. It is
Hi, Ty.
it's the country's oldest houses of worship. Uh, so there's supposedly there's hauntings that people will see, not necessarily because the church itself is haunted, but because the ground that the church is on is what's haunted. And
Okay.
people have seen that they've seen parishioners, older looking parishioners dressed in clothing from back in the 1600s that I've seen
Mm-hmm.
people talk about. I've seen, I've read that people have also seen priests dressed in the garb from the 1600s also there, that they've
Okay.
seen the apparitions of priests there praying and actually holding sermons at the podium still.
Okay. And I my research uncovered that the dog is behind me. Everybody say hi to Venus there, because that's Venus, our ghost dog. Woohoo! She wanted to get in tonight. Um, my research, I found that it said the church's burying grounds are believed to be haunted by the headless horseman, and may have inspired the character the headless horseman. Okay, the difference between this headless horseman and the one that rides the horse and chases Ichabod Crane around. This one was technically, he was a real soldier. He was a what they call a Haitian soldier who was said to have been a casualty of the American Revolutionary War. He did get decapitated, but to our knowledge, he haunts the cemetery, but he does not ride around on a horse, scaring the people of Sleepy Hollow. I don't know what else you have there, Axe. What else did you find on Terrytown or Sleepy Hollow?
Most of what I found is they've done a lot of comparison between the TV show Sleepy Hollow and
well, the book was finished,
and the actual town. But other than that, I didn't really find much of anything. Like they've drawn a lot of comparisons. The only stuff that I really found was about old parishioners, not old parishioners, but like past parishioners and priests along with nuns and stuff like that, haunting the ground as if they're still trying to deliver their sermons and prayers. Most people are speculating that it's because of the time that it was built. It was during the like the time of like the witch trials and stuff like that. So people are speculating that they would be giving sermons and stuff like that about witches and how they're evil and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Because what I found is that there were several tombstones in the graveyard that were marked as witchcraft. They were known as begravens. That's what they called them, begravens. And these were the people that were known to be, or supposedly known to be, witches. And this is how they buried them. They would say, "Here lies begraven."
Okay.
And what people have taken pictures of at these tombstones of these begraven people is more like it's not necessarily an apparition, but it's more of a mist, as if it's trying to form something, but it can't necessarily. That's all that I've really found so much about Sleepy Hollow, in particular with this area.
Hold on, I'm going to try to answer Haley here.
Yes, Haley, this will also be a video. It's being recorded, so you'll be able to like watch back and stuff like that.
I guess Axe decided she was going to answer that question. Haley, I was trying as she talked.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hello. It's okay.
Hi, Raylene. Hi, Ty.
Hello, Raylene. Hi, Ty. Also, okay, after what you said, also there is a historic Terrytown music hall that has been said to be haunted there also. Then they have what's called the Bronze Lady statue. And from my understanding, what I heard about this is you do not want to touch it and you do not want to insult it. Otherwise, yes, the Bronze Lady statue. Otherwise, you may get cursed and have bad luck. Now, I don't need any bad luck, so I'm not going to touch the bronze statue, okay? I'm not going to insult her either. I'm going to tell her she's the most beautiful thing in the world because maybe I'll get some good luck. You also have a place there called Patriots Park. Did you find anything on that, Axe?
Well, I found a couple things on all of the places. So going back to the Terrytown Music Hall.
Okay.
The stuff that I was able to find, besides the EVPs that have been captured that I wasn't able to listen to, unfortunately,
Okay.
what they said that actually happened at this particular site is that lights would be turning on and off by themselves while the theater was closed.
Mm-hmm.
And while this was happening, they would hear unknown singing coming from within the halls at some point somewhere, as if there's a singer that's still lingering.
It's
That
still there in the
yeah.
hall, maybe. Yeah, that's
So
possible. Now, there's a place called Patriots Park.
let me get to Patriots Park.
This is a spot where uh, Major, I guess that's pronounced Andre, was hanged during the Revolutionary War. As the tree he was hanged from is gone, they did replace that where the tree was. They replaced it with a monument that marks the spot where he was hung for whatever reason. I don't know. Obviously, he did something bad during the Revolutionary War and he got himself hung. But doesn't say much more than that.
Said that
And
he was
then,
captured and executed after conspiring with American General Benedict Arnold to surrender West
oh,
Point
well,
to the
there
British.
you go. Benedict Arnold. See, I missed that part. I didn't
Yeah,
get that
I
part.
did find that part. And then I also found for this particular park, as well as the John Andre incident, there is a place called Raven Rock. And there's this tale about the wailing woman of Raven Rock within this same park.
Oh, well, see, that's something I didn't catch. Obviously, there's so much stuff out there, and this is why we try to, each research it so that we can at least cover a lot more. She's catching things I didn't catch. Thank you, X, for catching all that. So that was all you caught on the weeping, wailing.
No, the wailing woman of Raven Rock. So
Yeah.
basically what happened to her is that she decided she was going to wander out into a snowstorm, I guess unknown to her that a snowstorm was coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And what had happened is that she fell into a ravine there. And
Ooh.
uh she was hurt, but she did not die. However, nobody could hear her cries. And
Oh.
if they did, they thought it was the sound of the wind. So
Uh-huh.
now whenever there's a severe snowstorm in that area, they hear her, but it's often mistaken as wind as well.
Right.
No, it doesn't say why she was walking. It just says that she was walking. It did mention that she was trying to seek shelter, even though she had left shelter.
And that may be. See, I came across something called they call it Sleepy Hollow Road, and in this it is said that that it's haunted by a lady in white and the ghost of children that died in a bus crash in the 1930s. Now, the only thing it says about the lady in white is that she haunts the road. Is this possibly the woman that got caught in the snowstorm?
Interesting. It could be.
It's possible. That could be why she's wandering. I mean, she's walking the road. I mean, you said she was walking and she fell into a ravine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so,
oh goodness.
Oh, jeez. Here we go again.
Goodness.
I'm sorry.
So loud. But yeah, that's all that I was really able to find on Sleepy Hollow. I really wasn't able to find much. Even if I tried to switch the name town to Terrytown, I couldn't find much. I did find the stuff about the general, which that was just silly of him.
Yeah. I mean, we found pretty much the same things. There's not a lot. Like I said, what makes a haunted town? Just basically it's
the land.
Certain things that may have went on in those towns before the energy stayed, and this is what we call hauntings. It it is what it is.
Mm.
Some towns aren't really haunted. They call them haunted ghost towns, or, you know, the town is just a
Or
ghost
ghost
town
towns.
because, you know, people moved away from them uh, because there weren't any jobs. I mean, the last time I went through Detroit, when I went home, Detroit was a ghost town. I don't know if it still is, but I believe it was 2017 when I went home. And like I said, Detroit was pretty much a ghost town to what it used to be. Not that it's a ghost town, because there are still people living there.
It just felt that way.
It felt that way. All
Hmm.
the businesses were closed, so you know. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next town, and
Sleepy Hollow is very interesting.
I'll let you go ahead and start the next ghost town.
Why me?
Well, because I started the other one.
Yeah, but you liked this one.
I'm trying.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
I'm trying to be fair here.
well, I mean, it's fine. Anyways, the next one that we're going to be talking about, now that we're done arguing of who's going to start this one, our next one is Gettysburg. And I know that a lot of people know Gettysburg based on the battlefield, and obviously we're going to be touching on that.
Oh yeah.
But we are also going to be talking about the town of Gettysburg, because obviously, with the battlefield having taken place there, or not the battlefield,
The
the battle
battle.
taking place there, the town has also become affected. Keep in mind that this is also a town that has a little over 7,000 people, but on the battlefield itself, over 50,000 people died in
No,
one
no,
day.
no, no, no.
What?
Let me back you up there. There
I was just
wasn't that.
reading it.
I know. There were over 51,000 total casualties. Okay. But there were only a total of 7,000 soldiers that died. And that was between the two sides. Okay.
Right, but in those
It,
casualties, somebody else could have died too. So it would
well,
definitely be
yeah, but it wasn't 50. I mean, there were a lot of casualties. They were injured. They were, you know, they might have lost limbs. They were missing. But basically, I do have the stats on that, so I will kind of butt in on that one.
okay,
Um,
whatever.
it says here more than 7,000 soldiers died in total at the Battle of Gettysburg. 3,155 of them were Union soldiers,
Jesus.
uh, and 3,903 were Confederate soldiers. So, soldiers across both armies, over 51,000 total casualties, were killed, wounded, or missing, is what it says. But that was a lot in a 3-day battle
Mm-hmm.
to have that many casualties,
In
whether it
July of
be death.
1863.
What was that?
It was July of 1863 that this happened.
Yes, it was. And this was known as the bloodiest battle of the conflict. So, of the Civil War, this particular 3-day battle was the bloodiest of all the battles that were fought during the Civil War.
I think the
So,
saddest part is that more like a majority of these soldiers and these people that died, they did not get a proper burial.
no,
So
they didn't.
that can explain why the ghosts aren't able to rest and why they're not able to move on, because they technically were not laid to rest.
And not only that, but it's,
Oh,
oh, here we go again. Here we go.
dismiss
I'm
it.
sorry.
Dismiss
I
it.
got it that time. Scariness, man. Whew, scared the heck out of me. But anyway, back to Gettysburg. What was bad about Gettysburg in the Civil War is you didn't know if you were fighting your family,
Nope.
because if some of your family lived further south and some of it lived further north, then you could have ended up fighting your own family, and that was a hard thing right there. And like you said, that was a lot of people to die and right there on that battlefield in 3 days. I mean, what was it, 7,000 people
Yep.
that died. That's a lot of people, and they buried them in what they call mass graves.
Yep.
So yeah, you've got a lot of unrest there. A lot of unrest.
So the place that, so what I found when I was looking up Gettysburg, it brought up 14 creepy incidences that happened at the Gettysburg battlefield. This is one
Mm-hmm.
of the sites that I found, and the first thing that it talks about is the Devil's Den, which is
Mm-hmm.
actually where the 7,000 troops ended up dying on July 2nd of 1863.
Right.
Um, Apparently there are visitors today that actually show up to that site in particular, and they can still hear war drums and gunshots periodically throughout the day. It doesn't matter what time of day it is, it just happens. They can just hear
Yes.
it.
And they hear cannons going off and screams, which is what you would hear um, when people are being hit with mortar. You're going to scream. You're not going to just stand there and take it.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. So then other people, besides hearing the drums and the gunshots, other people have claimed that they felt unseen forces grab things out of their hand. And then there have been multiple witnesses that have seen a barefoot man wearing a floppy hat. And what he does is he points in the direction of Plum Run, which is an area there at Devil's Den. And he says,
mhm.
what you're looking for is over there. He will then either disappear or he will actually hang around to chat with these visitors. And some people even being able to take pictures with him. And in the pictures, they see that he has been shot, that this
Right.
is a man that has been shot, and whatever these people are supposedly looking for, it is over there at Plum Run. That's kind of
And it's, I know I've seen, I watch a lot of paranormal shows. Some of it is iffy, and then there's some of it that, as a paranormal investigator, I've gotten evidence, so I'm not going to say everything I've seen is not true, and I'm not going to say everything is true. But I remember seeing some footage, and it's pretty doggone convincing that um, you literally see a soldier crossing the battlefield area, and it's pretty damn convincing.
mm,
Um, I would love to go there someday. This is on my bucket list of things to do,
the bucket
to
list
go to
things.
Gettysburg and see what I can see. I would love to go there. Definitely would.
Right. So then, I don't know if you found this, but there was one civilian that died during the conflict of Gettysburg. Her name was Jeannie Wade.
Yep. They
Uh,
shot through her. She
her
was
two
cooking
doors,
breakfast, if I remember correctly.
mixing dough to make biscuits.
Mm-hmm.
And it says that when visitors visit her home, there's several children roaming around the house. Some have said that they felt rushes of air and the sensation of little children grabbing at their legs.
Mm-hmm. Um, to be honest, I believe if you go to Gettysburg to that particular area where her house is, where her house was, is it's still, to me, it's still her house. I don't care who owns it. Their bullets are still in the door, and there's other bullets in the house itself. They've never they've never changed the door,
Hmm.
so it still bears the the lead musket balls, because that's what they used back then. Um,
I
the
believe she died of
holes.
lead poisoning, didn't she?
Most people that were shot back in those days died of lead poisoning due to the fact that that's what they used.
Right.
The black powder and lead balls. And I would love to take my metal detector, because people, you can go around anywhere where, through Pennsylvania and whatnot, where a lot of the battles of the Civil War, not just Pennsylvania, but other places, with a metal detector, and they have found numerous musket balls, cannonballs, you name it. I mean, they're still there. So it's pretty
Right.
amazing.
Interesting.
Yep.
So,
So, well,
oh,
I'm
I
sorry.
was gonna, I was gonna move on to, well, not move on, but I was gonna say some of the other stuff. I know you wanted to touch on, I think it's Sax's Bridge.
Well, you have a couple different, places. You have Sachs Covered Bridge, most well known of the three Confederate soldiers that were hanged from its beam for it was either desertion or spying. It didn't really specify. It says it was one or the other, so you don't know which one it was, but they were the one thing they do say is they were hanged from the bridge. Um, some have reported smelling cigar smoke, which is attributed to the spirit of the Confederate general Robert E. Lee. Um,
Okay.
so, you know, you never know.
See, mine says that it was desertion that they were punished for, and so they were hung there at that
Oh,
bridge.
just a second. I miss my bestie too, Raylene, but I hope you're going to enjoy yourself. So, it's all worth it if you enjoy yourself. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
You'll be back soon.
So other than that, I mean, they have also said at that same bridge that they've heard the sounds of horses and cannon fire, but again,
Yep,
that's not surprising considering how close the battlefield was to all of these places
exactly. And how tragic the battlefield was.
and what
You
they've
know,
done to some of the building, well, what they did with some of the buildings during that battle. In
hmm
particular, you have the Gettysburg Hotel, which was it was transformed from a hotel and was used as a hospital during that battle.
okay, that would be the Farnsworth House Inn.
Oh,
Yeah,
see
that's
that I have it written down as the Gettysburg Hotel.
no, it's the Farnsworth Inn, which was used. Like I said, it was a haunted inn, but it was used as visitors have reported disembodied sounds, voices, grunts, footsteps. Even they've even heard like a harp playing, which is kind of weird there, along with cigarette smoke. It was used, um, like I said, it was used as a hospital, I guess.
Okay, that's interesting because I have, for my research, I have the Gettysburg Hotel, the Gettysburg College, and then it gives me the Farnsworth House Inn
Oh,
as
okay. Well, you have different
different.
places. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so the hotel, the Gettysburg Hotel was used as a hospital, is what it
Okay.
says. And it says there was a war nurse named Rachel who wanders the rooms and digs through the guest drawers for and luggage, often taking out clothes for them to wear, because
Huh.
this would be considered like a residual haunting,
Mm-hmm.
because this is something that she was constantly doing in her day-to-day life when this battle was going on, is she would be trying to change people and take care of them. So
Yeah.
I would
See,
classify that as a residual haunting.
right. Yeah, that definitely would be a residual. And I'm showing, and like I said, it's just, I guess, the different places we search to find the information because I show the Farnsworth House Inn.
Right.
As I said, it shows during the Civil War, this building was used as a makeshift hospital
Hmm.
as well as the headquarters for the Confederate sharpshooters,
Yes.
which led to many deaths inside the walls. In other words, they had them up in the attic. Spirits of the Confederate soldiers are said to haunt the attic of the Farnsworth, and as well as other areas of the house, having been positioned there as snipers during the Battle of Gettysburg.
So
So, it
what?
was used as a makeshift hospital too. Well, I guess you can understand that because what did it say? 7,000 people died. Plus
Yeah,
you had
on both
you had
sides.
50. Yeah, well, and you had 51,000 casualties. That included death, injuries, or they were missing. And I'm sure not one place was enough to house all these men that were injured.
Right. So what I found for before I go back to the Gettysburg College, which was also used as a hospital, The Farnsworth house, in what people still say is that, and this is from the locals that live in this area, they say they still see over a dozen spirits haunting this house in particular. This is
Mhm.
included by a midwife nurse, several Confederate soldiers, and an 8-year-old boy named Jeremy, who'd been killed
Mhm.
in front of the house after a horse ran him over during
Oh my
that war.
goodness. That is just horrible.
Because, well, I mean, it was during war. Nobody's going to care, especially back in 1810.
Right. Oh no. They didn't care.
So then, for the Gettysburg College, this place was also used as a hospital, but it was used for both sides. So you
Right.
had both the Confederate and the Union soldiers in this particular hospital.
Well, that's kind of
Um,
strange, wasn't it? That they
yes.
were able to, be in the same place and not fighting.
Well, I'm sure they probably kept them separated.
Well, I'm sure they did, but I'm just saying it's rather strange that they used, you know,
Well, I mean, if you think about it, in the Revolutionary War, you would have soldiers of both sides taking residence at houses
right,
that were injured. They were both injured. They wouldn't fight each other. It was like, I don't want to say common ground, but like it was a sanctioned area where
right,
this is a place of like medical help. We are not allowed to fight here. I would
right.
assume that it would be the same for this in particular. Um, because what this one says is that the most horrifying haunting story to come out of the college originated in the early 1900s, where it was two female employees say they got into the elevator and pressed their chosen floor, only to be whisked down into the basement, where they witnessed a gory Civil War operating room where doctors were frantically working on wounded patients.
Oh, yeah, and the thing is, I remember hearing stories in history.
Oh
I mean,
shit! Oh, sorry.
you,
I just
well,
I just finished reading what this said. So they saw,
well,
so
there
this
you
was,
go. You just made ours not a very nice show, didn't you? No, I'm kidding.
so I
I'm kidding.
was sorry. So keep in mind that this war happened way before this particular thing. So this incident happened in the early 1900s. The
Okay,
war happened a couple years prior to this.
right.
So they were whisked down into the basement where they were actually seeing this, that was technically was not happening. They were just seeing an event of the past.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently,
A residual.
the doctors in that supposed residual haunting saw them and came walking towards them. That's when the elevator suddenly closed and was sent back up to the ground floor.
Okay, that now
And
becomes
when
an
they
intelligent haunting.
went back down into the basement thinking that there was somebody down there doing something that they shouldn't have been, the scene was gone. There was nothing
Right,
there.
right,
That gory scene of the hospital was gone. It it was as if it never existed to begin with.
right.
That is
One of the
horrifying.
one of the horrifying things of this war also were these houses that were being used as hospitals. There were many that were losing limbs, arms, legs, and the doctors were trying to operate as fast as they could on these soldiers. And my understanding from the history is they would just, they would cut an arm off and toss it out the window, or a leg
Jesus.
and toss it out the window, to the point that they just had body parts piled up outside these houses, and that in itself would have been devastating, you know, even if the person didn't die. I mean, here's all these legs and limbs and different things just tossed to a pile outside of a window.
Mm-hmm.
But they had no choice, where it's not like today, where you can just, get rid of the stuff. I mean, I would assume if something like that was to happen today, they would, a lot of that, they would use an incinerator, to try to take care of it.
I would hope so, because that's just disturbing. I mean, there were other things that are on this site that mentions the Tilly Pierce House Inn. We have the Dobbin House Tavern, the
Hmm.
Daniel Lady Farm, Cashtown Inn, Quality Inn at General Lee's headquarters. The
Daniel, what, ladies farm? What the hell is that?
The Daniel Lady Farm. So this was
Yeah.
used as a field hospital for the Confederate Army.
Oh,
The
okay.
farm was the site of often burial, or no, not burial, brutal slapdash amputations and surgeries performed without anesthesia.
See,
According to
this is what I was
witnesses,
talking about.
the ghosts of Isaac Ewell and thousands of his soldiers still haunt that farm.
That's what I was talking about. They had to, act quick to save a life,
Mm-hmm.
and these guys didn't get anesthesia. It was like tie something around his arm. I'm cutting it off right here. And that
And
was that.
it would be in the most brutal ways possible too. It wouldn't just be, oh, we're gonna just like quickly saw it off. No, because
Mm-mm.
if anybody knows anything about like a medical background, it's not that easy to amputate a limb, even if it's almost completely off as it is.
Nope.
You still have to cut through bone, tendons, muscle, all of that, and it's not easy. So doing this without anesthesia, and then half the time, most of the people would die, which is
And
how
I
there's
mean,
thousands of soldiers along with the general still haunting the farm.
well, not
It's
only that, but you think of the soldiers that did make it. Okay, but they went on in life without their limbs or whatever,
yep.
and when they died, maybe they went back to that horrific battle looking for their body parts. Who knows?
Yep. Yeah.
Because
So
there's a lot of countries that believe if you don't have all your body parts, you can't get into heaven.
mhm. Well,
So
there's countries, there's religions, there's
exactly
different cultures. Even here in America during that time, there was still we were still a melting pot of cultures here.
right,
So, and people would fight on both sides. It didn't matter what their cultural background was.
exactly.
And if they were a part of a culture that said, well, if you lose a body part, you're not going to be able to move on, well, then here they are. They've lost a body
Stuck.
part. They're not able to move on.
Exactly, and they're stuck here because they honestly believe they couldn't pass on.
Right.
So
So then from that one, we have the Cashtown Inn, which is another thing. We have
mhm.
the Quality Inn of General Lee's headquarters. We have the Balladary Inn.
They had a
Uh,
Quality Inn all the way back then.
yeah. Well, it looked more like a house than it
Oh, okay.
does than what it does now, but that's what it was called, the Quality Inn. Then you had the Balladary Inn, which was this one was a field battle for Union soldiers
Mm-hmm.
during the second day of the Battle of Gettysburg. That's what this one
Right.
is. Then there's the Ghost Train, which is tourists can take a 90-minute ride across the actual battlefield, and passengers report smelling cigar smoke and seeing the souls of soldiers roaming on and around the train tracks.
And this is
Makes
what I was talking about earlier about the soldier crossing it when they
Yep.
got it on videotape. When I
And
don't even know
then
who it was.
right. And then the last one that I see is Little Round Top.
Well, you got more information than I did in my search, but I don't know.
This was the first thing that I came to. It said 14 creepy things that happened at the Battle of Gettysburg, and I'm like, oh, what is this? And it named majority of the stuff that you wanted us to look at anyway. So I was like, oh, well, then there's all this other stuff. I was like, oh, this is pretty neat.
Yeah. Well, like I said, one of these days, it's on my bucket list. Maybe I'll make it there. Hopefully, I won't be a ghost when I get to go.
Well, I mean, hopefully.
Never
Pennsylvania
know.
is not that far away from us. Pennsylvania is not that far away.
No, it's not. Okay, I'm going to also let you start with the next haunted ghost town.
Why me? No, I'm kidding.
Well, because I
Okay.
think you should.
All right, fine. All right, so the next town we're going to be talking about
We have
is
Ty to thank for this, right?
yes, I haven't. I was getting ready to get there. Whoops! I just threw my phone. Whoops.
Only Ty and I know what I'm talking about. Oh,
Yes.
maybe
So,
you.
of course I do. Anyways, so this next ghost town that we're talking about is thanks to Ty. He's in chat. We are going to be talking about Jerome, Arizona.
Thank you, Ty.
Yeah, thank you. There's a couple different places that we looked up. One of them is the Connor Hotel. Another one is the Jerome Grand Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And then another one is the Surgeon's House. right?
Surgeon's
Yeah,
house.
yep,
Yep.
Surgeon's house, and then I believe,
Liberty Theater.
yeah, then we were looking at Liberty Theater, I believe.
And
And
then we
I
can't.
also looked up some other stuff. I'm not
There's
sure.
also, no, don't forget the underground mines. We can't
Yes.
forget them because Charlie's in there.
Yes. So I couldn't find anything on that one, but I did do some more digging and tried to find other things that were haunted as well that I'll just quickly name as well. But there's quite a bit of stuff happening in good old Jerome. And we're just going to start off with the Connor Hotel. Again, thank you,
Okay.
Ty, for bringing this one up. Um, so this hotel in particular burned down not once, but twice. The owner of the hotel at the time was David Connor, who took advantage of his property's insurance and rebuilt and a third time in 1898. The building that stands today was the one of the finest hotels of its time. All of the second floor rooms had electricity, wood stoves, and call buttons. The first floor had card rooms, billiard tables, and other activities to entertain the guests.
Don't
The
forget
hotel,
the bar room.
anyways,
We
the
can't forget the
hotel
bar.
even owned a bus that took guests to the train depot, as well as having the bar room. So that is basically like a quick little introduction to it.
Don't forget how much it costs to rent the room for a night. Do you know?
It does not tell me that.
It cost $1
A
back
dollar.
in them days. It was a
Yeah,
whole dollar.
yeah, but
That was
a dollar
today.
back
That's laughable, but back then, $1 was a mighty expensive room. That was the presidential suite. Let me tell you.
yeah,
I wish we could get a room at a hotel for $1.
I know. So, something that I found that was interesting for the Connor Hotel is at the west end of the building, there was a counterfeit storefront that contained bordello. The cat house opened up. It's the legendary Husband's Alley.
Yeah.
When the Jerome mines began to decline, so did the famous hotel. The upscale establishment closed its doors in 1931. And then it says,
Open though. It opened up again.
shush, I'm reading. I'm telling you. Okay, in the 1950s, the building was used for several purposes, mostly little shops to attract tourists. In 2000, renovation began, and the building was once again returned to the grandeur as a hotel. So that is basically the quick little history of Jerome. Not Jerome, but of the Connor Hotel.
Connor Hotel. Well, I got a little bit more because you talked about the building burning twice.
Yes.
And what it says about that is the Connor Hotel had a colorful past ranging from the height of luxury to the depth of squalor. And back again, the establishment also offered, like we said, a bar room, a card room, the billiard tables, and that was just on the first floor. And as I said, we know that the rooms were $1 a piece, for a night. I wish. Before the turn of the century, that's what they cost. Now, as I had said, in 1898, when the building was built, you'd think, did they have insurance? Well, Mr. Connor and one other person that owned business in the town, because the whole town burnt, not just the hotel. Okay, I don't know if you knew that, Axe, but him and one other store owner were the only ones in the town at that time that had bought insurance for their buildings. And so, let's see, where is it here? He ended up getting like $14,000 to rebuild that hotel. That's what he got in insurance money. So he was able to rebuild it. Not once, but twice.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, technically, twice it would be, because he built it a total of 3 times. Yes, that's
right.
Yeah.
It says Connor's Hotel had burned to the ground not once but twice, along with many other fine buildings in Jerome.
Mm.
Mr. Connor was lucky in that he was one of only 2 business owners in the town to carry insurance. Many have reported a lady in red in room number 1 who whispers to the guests and even tries to get into bed with him.
Yeah. Speaking of that one, because
Well,
I have something about room 1 as well.
better stay
So,
out of my bed.
no, she does it to anybody. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, she'll do it to anyone. So
Then she better pay half of the room charge.
what I found is it says over the years many supernatural reports have been made on the in this structure. It's speaking now specifically of room 1. It says an unseen woman's whispers, scratching noises, and other unexplainable sounds have been heard. One living occupant of this room got the surprise of his life when someone or something unseen laid down on top of him in the middle of the night. He was so frightened that he spent the remainder of the night in his vehicle.
Do you blame him?
No. So
Well, not
then,
only that, but
yes.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no, go. You were getting ready to continue on with room 1. I think I was getting ready to move on to another room.
Well, I'll let you move on to the other room in just a minute.
Mhm.
She has also been seen on the first floor in what they call the spirit room, where a painting hangs in her honor. Just so you know that.
That's crazy. The disturbing woman who likes to get in bed with people at night. That's kind of crazy.
Like I said, she's going to get in my bed. She's going to pay for half the room.
Yeah. Yeah. No. So then moving on to room 5, another haunting that happens in this particular hotel is strange noises and hot and cold spots have been reported. The television, lights, laptops, and other electronics have been reported to quote unquote malfunction. Also has been claimed that when this room is empty, the alarm clock sometimes goes off on its own, even though no one has set it, as if someone is waiting to wake up.
Mm-mm.
So there's that in room 5. Then it
Okay.
says in the second floor bathroom, a woman was using the facilities when she heard a man softly call her name.
No.
It says then if she thought she was hearing things, she was quickly corrected when he called her a second time. The woman was alone on the second floor at the time, and she quickly made her way back downstairs. So this one in particular is interesting because people often say, well, how does that ghost know my name? I never said who I was. How does that ghost know my name? They don't need
smart.
you to say your name in order for them to know it.
Nope. They're going to know it.
Yeah, if they want to know it, they're going to know it. So if you decide to go to any place that might be haunted and you suddenly hear someone say your name that isn't there, and you're like, well, how do you know my name? It's just because they do.
They do.
Something about spirits in particular that are able to just know things.
Exactly. I think one of the first times you went out ghost hunting with myself and Angel.
They said my name, yes.
They said your name, and yes, it was a child. They said your name, and you heard it later on an EVP, and you were totally shocked. And then I have also,
I was just like, okay, that's strange.
I mean, yes, I go by TJ. That is not my birth name. And no, I'm not going to tell you what my birth name is, so don't ask. But when a spirit on an EVP says your birth name and you don't use it, that's a little bit creepy because I have a special name. And so for them to say it exactly the way my name is said and not get it wrong, that's pretty good.
Very true. It's definitely interesting. So there was a couple other things that happened at this particular hotel. Was that in the stairs and in the hallway, paranormal photographers felt that they were being followed around the hotel by an unseen entity. I don't know why they said entity because,
well, they don't know what it is.
Well, yeah, that's true. So, but
it
what
didn't
they
show itself, they felt it, so they didn't see what it was.
Right. But what they did is that they did snap a picture, and what they ended up capturing is a vortex on the stairs. So a vortex is basically a portal from this world to the spirit realm, where ghosts are just able to come and go as they please, basically.
Exactly. And we've gotten one of those before in a house we did. I don't know if you remember the one in Ruby's house.
Yeah.
In fact, it was after she didn't even know about it. I had been reviewing some of the pictures from that night, and I seen it. And when we went back, she informed me of her dog chewing on her carpet in a certain spot. And it was funny that that's exactly where we caught the vortex.
Mm-hmm.
So that's understandable.
So then, also speaking of the bar area from previously, there are people who have been, people have reported that they've been touched by an unseen hand and having odd feelings that made their hair stand on end. And then they have said in the first floor gift shops and artist shops, because again, this is a hotel that's been returned to its former glory.
Mm-hmm.
People have said that they've seen apparitions of a man and a woman wandering around as if they're trying to startle the customers on purpose.
And that's possible. Maybe they're trying to scare them out of the building because they remember it the way they wanted it back in their day, their heyday time,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't like the new version, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Because, I'm sorry, there's a lot of us that aren't very respectable anymore.
Very true.
So,
All right. So that was the Copper Hotel.
No, that was the Connor.
Connor. Sorry, I was reading I read something ahead and that's why I said Copper.
The Cooper, the Copper?
The whoever these people were. Oh God.
Well, are we going to move on to the Jerome's Grand Hotel?
Yeah. So
now, prior to the Grand Hotel being the Grand Hotel, what was it?
It was the United Verde Hospital, which was built in 1926. It was the fourth and final hospital in town, and it was owned by the United Verde Copper Company, which was UVCC, which later became the Phelps Dodge Mining Corporation.
And it is the most haunted location in Jerome, Arizona. Yes. And why is that? Do you remember why? Did you?
So then it says the hospital was also known as the Phelps Dodge Hospital, and it was a real state-of-the-art facility, very modern and well equipped. Then it says the 1926 Otis elevator in the building, for instance, still functions. But it doesn't tell me anything.
It had, well, I probably have that information. It had, as we know, it was a hospital.
Right.
Okay. And it was a hospital for the miners. Okay. What?
Ty, I'm laughing at Ty because he's in the chat like, oh God. This is the one that he was particularly
9,000 people died in this hospital.
God damn.
Oh. Over the time that it was in an operational state. And it was either from mining accidents or other illnesses. Claims of both miners and patients haunt the Grand Hotel. And it's understandable because whereas we just talked about Gettysburg, the battlefield had like 7,000 deaths on it. Outside of the 51, there were casualties, the deaths, the whole 9 yards. Here, you have a hospital with 9,000 deaths, whether it be miners or other illnesses that might have been happening at that particular time. Holy crap, that's a lot of deaths.
Mm.
And that's a lot of spirits.
Yeah. So I found something interesting. I don't know why it wants to, like, why it's important to state this, but it is interesting. So this particular hospital was built to be 100% fire and earthquake proof. It needed to withstand the powers of nature as well as the powers of 260,000 pounds of dynamite.
Oh.
Then it says the United Verde Hospital was closed in 1950 due to the fact that the mining operations began shutting down. In the
Mm-hmm.
heyday, over 15,000 miners and their families lived in Jerome. After the mines closed in 1953, only 100 people stayed behind, and medical services were available in other hospitals. The building was then vacant for 44 years until Larry Arthur turned it into Jerome Grand Hotel in 1996.
Right.
So it's
And the
only
thing
been in
is,
operation for almost 20 years, 19 years.
right.
No,
Well, no, a little more than that.
a little
96.
Yeah, almost 30 years.
You're not mathing very well here.
I'm not mathing very well here.
But the thing is, you talk about the it had to be earthquake proof, fireproof, whatever. I would
When you
assume the fireproof would come because I'm not sure why, but if you remember when we were talking about the Connor Inn or hotel,
Mhm.
it had burnt a total of 2 times and rebuilt 3.
Mm.
Okay, and all the other buildings burnt too. It doesn't say why the town burnt down.
Right,
It
true.
just says it burnt. We don't know that. It didn't give me any information what caused it to burn.
Mm.
So for this new hotel, the Grand Hotel, when it was the hospital to be built to be fireproof, I would assume it had something to do with whatever made it burn. The town burn.
I mean, you are living out in the desert.
And I mean, come on, earthquakes, well, they're out there in Arizona and they're dynamiting things.
Yeah, that's very true.
I mean, granted, I do know Arizona does get pretty hot, and maybe it was a dry spell, and somebody lit one of them cigarettes or cigars and didn't put it out good, and it sparked the whole town to burn down. I don't know.
Right.
Because we know Arizona is known for its dryness and its heat.
Right. So Jerome Grand Hotel, like its hauntings, started relatively early while the hotel itself was still under construction.
Mm-hmm.
It started off only as being 6 rooms available, even though it had a lot more, obviously, because it was a hotel, or not a hotel, but it was a hospital.
Right.
However, most of it stayed empty because it was under construction, and as we all know, construction can cause activity to become more
Start
rampant
up.
in
Yes, it does.
in certain
Very
areas.
active.
In particular, hospitals is a known place, and graveyards. These are 2 known places to get rampant activity when there's things that are under construction, because you are disturbing the resting place of spirits.
Mm-hmm.
So what people stated at the start of the Grand Hotel when it was still under construction is that they would hear voices coming from the empty rooms that were under construction, literally under construction, so there was nothing in there. And then they would also hear the sound of a hospital gurney moving up and down the hallways at night, even though no one was there. And then it proceeds to go to what does it say? It says there are many ghosts at the hotel, but some of them are more notable than others. And it says when the building was operating as a hospital, this is stuff you've already mentioned, many people died. There are no official records available, but according to some, over 9,000 deaths occurred. Most of the deaths were from mining accidents, but people also died from injuries and illnesses. And then it continues to go on to the fact that the 3rd floor is actually the most active. And it says, guests and hotel staff have heard and seen what appears to be a 4 or 5-year-old child running down the hallway, sometimes giggling, sometimes crying. Then it also says that this particular child will also appear at the foot of people's beds as if asking for help. That's so sad. That actually makes me sad. And then they've also said on the same floor that they've heard a baby crying rather frequently, and that they can smell the scent of baby powder and zinc oxide, which is things that you would use when changing a child back in those days. As we know, baby powder was something that was often used to take care of children. But apparently the baby crying would alert guests, and it would end up bringing they would bring this to the staff, and they would often tell them that there's no children of that age in the actual hotel at that time.
Right.
This is also the domain of the quote unquote bearded man. His identity isn't known, but his presence is there, and he's known to be coughing and or having heavy breathing as if he is suffocating.
Hmm.
And many people are comparing this man to a possible miner, because obviously when you're mining, you're not going to have the best air quality. So they are assuming
No.
that this is a man who was a miner from back then. And he's only known as the bearded man because that's all that they can really pinpoint about him. Because they
Right.
haven't they're not able to find any other kind of records about this gentleman.
Well, it makes sense that it's a minor. You think of all the miners, I mean, if you listen to a lot of the things about the different miners, because there were miners everywhere. You had the coal miners in Virginia, parts of
Mhm.
Pennsylvania. They used to take a canary in a cage down with them, because if the canary died, that was a sign you better get the hell out of there, because
Right.
you don't have any air. You don't have any air, so you better get the hell out of there now.
Mm-hmm.
If it started chirping uh, and being crazy, that was a good sign that that bird was having a hard time breathing. So get the hell out.
Right.
I mean, they didn't have the things they have today with respirators, where you could just slip a respirator on and go down into these places.
No.
That's they literally just breathe all that crap in.
Mm-hmm. So I know you found information about a gentleman named Claude Harvey. Would you like to talk about him, or would you like me to read what I've found? Because I
Claude
don't know.
Harvey.
Yeah, I don't know what you've found on this gentleman, but I've.
To be honest, I'm not sure if I found about anything about a Claude Harvey.
Oh, you mentioned him to me. Okay. Well, I will tell you what I have.
Is he?
This
Was
will.
he the doctor?
No,
Okay, so I have the Surgeon's House. We haven't talked about
not yet.
the Liberty Theater, and Charlie. We can't forget Charlie.
Mm,
So I'll let you talk about this gentleman, because I don't have him.
right. So Claude Harvey was the hospital when it was a hospital. Um, he was the hospital's maintenance man,
Okay.
and this gentleman was pinned down by the back of the neck by the Otis elevator on April 3rd, 1935.
Yes, I do remember him, but I didn't write about him. I'm sorry.
So what it says is that the autopsy indicated that he was already dead when the elevator hit him, and it was assumed that Mr. Harvey was murdered and somebody tried to make the death look like an accident.
Right.
However, because of this, his murder was never solved. Apparently, Mr. Harvey does not realize that he is dead because he continues to work in the basement and laundry room of that hotel.
Mm-hmm.
As far as he knows, he's still alive and he's still doing his job. But there have been many people, specifically staff, that have seen him, and he's literally working on the maintenance of the hotel.
In the elevator and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. And in the laundry room of this particular hotel.
Right. I remember stories of that. But yes, that's just another one of those mysteries that weren't solved.
So then also in the basement, because that's obviously where the boiler room is going to be, there's also a gentleman, I'm going to butcher his name so bad, and I do apologize, Manoah Hofpier? I'm not too sure how to say it.
I have no clue.
But he was a local man hired by the Phelps Dodge Mining Company to make sure that the vacant building wasn't vandalized. This was when obviously the hotel was closed down. At some point, this gentleman hung himself from the steam pipe of the engineer's office, which is now the boiler's room. And people who go down there, particularly staff, who go down there will see a shadow figure hanging from the pipes.
Oh, that's not good.
They don't know
Well,
why he did it. There was no rhyme or reason. He left no note, no nothing. He just happened to end his life in this particular room for reasons unknown.
and did it say what year?
No, it just said it was during the time that it was closed down. So, when was the hotel closed? It
In the
was
30s, I think, and that could have been the Depression.
so the hospital closed 1950.
Oh, okay, maybe not.
So 1953. It was closed until 1996. So it happened within that time period of
Okay,
1953 to 1996.
okay, it could have been anything.
Yep.
So the next thing uh, that I found out about it was a surgeon's house, which was built for the doctor, the main surgeon of the hospital. Um, and of course, today it's a bed and breakfast. It's been rumored that it is haunted by a ghostly couple. Now, is it
Oh,
possible?
did you moved on from the Jerome Grand Hotel, right? You're moving
Yes.
on to the. Oh, okay. Wait. So I have one more thing that I wanted to say about the Grand Hotel. Is
Okay,
that
well, we'll
room?
let you say it.
Yeah. So what I found is that room 32 of this hotel is particularly haunted. It is the most haunted room to date, and it says that this is because two people in this room committed suicide. So it says room 32 is a former hospital's guest room with a balcony. A minor confined to a wheelchair because of an accident reportedly climbed the balcony and fell to his death. I'm going to try to go this year. Oh, yeah. Ty wants to go to Jerome, to the
Okay.
hotel. So the minor fell to his death from the balcony. And then the second one was a businessman committed suicide in this room by shooting himself in the head. It then proceeds to say that this is the paranormal, like this is the most paranormal incidences happening in this room. Like
Right.
we'll see these two men, and this is
Do
where most of the paranormal activity will actually happen in this
so. In
hotel.
other words, they residually
This guy, he's
commit
like
their
32.
suicide.
I'm in. Ty.
Yeah. Well, Ty, you get anything good, you let me know, okay?
Oh my god. I shouldn't have said that one. I shouldn't have said it because I knew he wanted to go. I was like, oh fuck.
So, like I said, now as I said, this one kind of relates. Surgeon's house, even though it's a bed and breakfast today, it was part of the hospital. It was built for
Definitely.
the Union Verde, hospital, um, and it housed the main surgeon for the hospital. It also housed some nurses, from my understanding of what I read. Um, and I don't know. It's possible that it was Dr. Carlson's. Maybe he was married. I don't know. Because it does say it is haunted by a ghostly couple. Um, so is it possible it's Mr. Carlson and his wife? Maybe. Um, People have said that they have seen uh, what looks like a doctor figure moving through this bed and breakfast, and he's carrying his black bag, which back in the day, doctors, they always walked around with their little black bags everywhere they went. So sounds like it might be the doctor. He's doing his house calls or doing his rounds, I don't know,
Mm.
in the bed and breakfast.
Well, I
So
mean, if you need a doctor, I guess you have one there. I
there
mean,
you go. I mean, if there's a case of food poisoning, it's always nice to have a doctor around, even if he's a ghost.
yeah.
So, I mean, that was pretty much all I got from the surgeon's house. Then I see that there was a play. It was the Liberty Theater,
Oh,
um,
yes.
and I don't know if the Liberty Theater is still if it's still, open or not. Um, it says here. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, it says. Well, I guess it is, but it's the home of a ghost that was a moviegoer at the theater and this moviegoer was strangled to death while inside the theater.
Jesus.
So she's like roaming the theater because, well, she went to see a movie and she got strangled. So she's probably mad because she didn't get her money back. I don't know.
That's rude. How dare you?
I hope she got to see the whole movie. That would suck. It didn't say anything about if they solved it or not. It just said her ghost roams the theater to this day because that's where she was murdered. So
Right. So
when
I didn't find much of anything on these last two places in particular. I mean,
last what? Oh, you mean Surgeon's House or Liberty Theater?
yeah, I didn't find much. I mean,
I didn't find
I
much on them either.
I found information about supposedly people being driven insane. And they chalk it up to the idea of spiritual activity. Because there was also, it doesn't give me a date, but it mentions that there was a man who insulted Hines and another female performer while they were running to catch a cable car after the show. And what he did is that he shoved them into a gutter where they sustained minor injuries. But this is like one of many incidences that.
Is this at the Liberty Theater?
Yeah, this is one of the many incidences that happen that it's just people will like attack other people unprovoked for no reason.
Okay. Sounds like best advice for this is to stay away from the Liberty Theater. Just stay the hell away from it. Don't go near it.
Yeah. I mean, that's all that it's really telling me is that there's been several attacks. And in particular, it says that people I have no idea I don't even know how they know in particular that it's these type of people, but it says that people of color and people of the LGBT community are the ones that are often attacked the most.
Well, I didn't get any of that.
So whatever that's about, I would suggest. It just seems like there are people who lose their minds when they come. Like not everybody, but obviously, like there's some people that have.
Don't go to the theater. Whatever you do, you might lose your mind.
There's like a frailty to some people's minds that they are just more susceptible to being possessed in a way that they will just attack people. So
that's the whole point. People can be possessed. So, it depends on their mindset. It honestly does.
Right.
We know that.
Interesting.
Now, you said you found nothing on Charlie.
I found nothing on Charlie.
Okay, well, I found the underground mines that are there. I mean, they're closed off, they say. But, I know where there's a will, there's a way. But it says the abandoned mine shafts and tunnels are also rumored to be haunted, especially by a miner named Headless Charlie.
Good grief.
Well, that kind of gives you a lot of info right there. Headless Charlie? Okay. Who was supposedly decapitated in a mining accident in the early 1900s. Charlie's head was never found. What?
He's writing the location.
Okay, well, don't go here. It says Charlie's head was never found despite efforts to find it. Okay, they found Charlie, but they found Charlie with no head. I don't know where his head might have rolled off to, but they never found it. So do not go to the mines either, Ty. Who knows? He might find the head after all these years.
You might. You never know. So I found other stuff in particular towards.
I feel sorry for Charlie.
Yeah, I do feel sorry for Charlie. He lost his head. So one other thing that I found for Jerome is the sliding jail, and all that it says is that a little boy was stuck in the jail as it slid downhill. People have reported extreme sadness coming over them in this general area of where this jail used to stand, apparently.
Yep. It slid down the hill.
And then, so I see something about the Liberty Theater as well. So, talking about how the woman was strangled by her boyfriend.
Oh, it was her boyfriend.
Yeah. So what it says is that a German woman was fighting with her boyfriend and went to the theater to cool off. During a particularly loud scene in the movie, her boyfriend came up behind her and strangled her to death. Some men who visit the theater report that they feel like they're being choked until they leave. Others feel extreme sadness. So what I was talking about with the
Yeah,
people,
she didn't get to see the rest of the movie.
that's just terrible. Anyways, that the people that would attack other people unprovoked, they were all mostly men.
Hmm. Is she making them attack? See?
I don't know if it's her or if it's him, because I mean, for him being, the way that he was and doing what he did, his spirit might not have been able to move on either, and he haunts that particular location.
Right, because that's where he committed that crime.
Right. The extreme sadness could be from her, because I
Right.
mean, she was killed by somebody that she loved. So there's that. But other than that, I didn't find anything on dear old Charlie and his headlessness.
And for those that do not know, I mean, the question arose in my mind is what primarily did they mine in Jerome, Arizona?
Mm.
Okay, because as I spoke, we know coal miners over here on our side of the country, and out west, we knew that, they had the gold mines and all that. But primarily, the mineral mined in Jerome was copper. Okay, just so people know. But gold, silver, zinc, and manganese was also extracted from the United Verde mine in Jerome.
Mhm.
So it had a little bit of everything in there.
Certainly.
You had gold, you had silver, you had zinc, you had copper. So it
Every
was like very rich mine. I mean, come on. I know
I
that
mean, this is what they went out west for. They went out west to get rich, but
exactly.
not everybody was able to get rich. In fact, a lot of them died.
And I mean, I did read that the gentleman that owned the town basically, and I do not know what his name is right offhand. Um, it I don't think it was Connor, it was somebody else. He sold he sold the mine to the Union Verde Mine Company.
Mm,
Okay, he sold it in that time period for $1 million,
that's crazy.
which in those days, $1 million would probably be like 100 billion today. I don't know.
Right.
It
It
was a
would be
lot of.
yeah, it would be a lot of money.
I mean, if $1 for the Grand Hotel or even the Connor Hotel, if $1, and that was considered a luxury hotel back then, $1 was what you paid for a luxury room. You can imagine what $1 million was. It would be today in
Mm,
their money back then. That'd be a lot of money. So,
goodness
are
gracious.
we concluded with Jerome, or do you have anything else that you want to add?
I did not have
Back?
anything else for Jerome. But it
Okay.
is a very interesting town, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want to go and visit it myself.
Well, hopefully, where's Ty? Ty, where are you located at?
Mm-mm. We do
Uh-uh.
not share locations.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, if he goes over to Jerome, he can let us know how it turned out. Maybe.
Oh, he said that he wants to go next year. He'll go. He's
He,
gonna drag one of his friends with him for sure.
I was good. Yeah. Well, watch out for room one, because
Yeah,
Lady in Red will get in bed with you. Got to watch her.
yeah. Southern Arizona.
Okay. So Southern Arizona. So he's closer than we are.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
exactly. Okay. So
But that's all that I was able to find about Jerome so far. I'm still looking.
okay.
I'm not done.
Well, then let us move on to our last haunted town for the evening.
See,
And this one is Savannah, Georgia. And Savannah, Georgia is considered one of America's most haunted cities with numerous locations such as the Marshall House, the old Pink House. I wonder if it's pink. Um, and the Sorrel Weed House. And I'm going to really mess this one up. But then there's the Bonaventure Cemetery and the uh, Monterey, Monterey Square.
Mm.
And let's not forget
Welcome
River Street Inn. Okay, so these are all places that we're going to talk about that are all haunted spots in Savannah, Georgia. Hey, Haley, welcome back. So, Axe, what did you find out? Which one did you start with?
So I started off with the Marshall House.
Okay, that's where I started off. So let's see what you have on the Marshall House.
Right. So, obviously, it gives you history of the Marshall House. It's a building that was developed by Mary Marshall, who developed a reputation of being a respected businesswoman, witnessing some of the historical changes of Savannah from the early 19th century and through the Civil War and Reconstruction years. Keep in mind that this is very uncommon, especially for women back in that day. There was not very many business women, reputable ones at that back in those years. So this is very uncommon for her. But what she did was over several years, she purchased land and developed it into various buildings, which ended up becoming the Marsh House itself. And I believe it says one such case was it was several buildings that she made. The one that became her most notable one was built in 1851, which was the Marshall House.
Mm-hmm.
And what it says is that this one was for housing and lodging accommodations due to the railroad boom in population in the previous decade of 1951. So it would be 1851. So they're talking about 1841 of the previous of that year, or of that time period. That was the railroad boom. And it became a hotel that was frequented by travelers from near and far.
Good night, Raylene. Safe travels tomorrow.
Good night, Ray Ray. So what I found after that was that this particular house, the Marshall House, during the Civil War, was seized by the Union Army under the command of General William Sherman. I cannot say his middle name to save my soul. Tecumseh?
Well, just leave it at, what is it?
Tecumseh? So it's William T. Sherman is what I'm going to say. William T. Sherman. And
just leave it at that.
Yeah. It says, during the Union's occupation of Savannah, the Marshall House served as a medical facility for Union soldiers until the end of the war in 1865. You know what I've noticed is that most of these buildings and stuff were used during the Civil War.
The Civil War. Yep. Exactly.
I just put that connection together, is that most of these places that we're talking about all have something to do with the Civil War.
Right. Well, the ones in Savannah and the ones in Pennsylvania.
Right.
Although,
interesting.
Wait a minute. No, that was the Revolutionary War. Okay, forget it. Forget it.
Okay, so it then goes on to say, in 1880, the Marshall House grew about a third in size as the owners acquired the adjacent Florida House. However, the hotel would soon shut down in 1895 and would remain closed for 4 years. This was likely due to renovations and the inclusion of newly discovered inventions, including electric bulbs and newly developed hot and cold water plumbing. So then by 1933, it went through an identity change and was renamed into the Gilbert Hotel, named after its owner, Herbert W. Gilbert. While Gilbert owned the hotel until 1941, he was able to make drastic changes to the hotel, which included more rooms, apartments, and a new heating system, among other additions. And then it says, over the years, the Marshall House also had undergone other several renovations. Today, it stands as one of the oldest and one of the most prominent buildings in the city of Savannah that's still in use.
Right.
Okay. with its years in operation and many renovations, any ghost enthusiast can tell you that renovations stir the ghostly pot, which is what I mentioned before.
Yep. There we go
It's
with the
no wonder.
renovations again.
Yep, it's no wonder that there are many encounters with guests that still stay around long after they have quote unquote checked out, if you know what they mean by checked out.
Yep.
And then for me, it goes into apparent hauntings, and then it goes into one in particular called Room 414. But before that, I would like to see what you found.
Well, basically, I didn't find as much information as you did, obviously. I mean, I have that it served as a hospital during the Civil War,
Mhm.
and it also served, well, it was the Civil War and the yellow fever epidemic, is what it says.
Yes.
So, I mean, guests have reported hearing sounds of children,
Mhm.
footsteps, along with other spooky occurrences. Uh, like I said, I don't have much on it. Um, you got more definitely than I did.
So, okay, so what I found, so the apparent hauntings is what's falling under the Union soldiers, obviously some of them not making it due to the war and injuries and that kind of stuff. I also
Right?
found information about the yellow fever, how the epidemic was sweeping the South,
Yep.
and were among the patients there as well as the soldiers that were catching it as well.
I should have looked up what caused the yellow fever because, for me, I don't know that. I'll do that now while you're talking.
Well, I'll let you do that then. I was getting ready to do it.
That's what I'm doing.
um, So what I also found was that they've heard stories, or not, yeah, visitors heard stories of laughter and several footsteps running up and down the halls as if it was children at play, is what I found. And then they've also witnessed water faucets randomly turning on without anyone touching the switches. So
Mm-hmm.
these people, these guests, would actually watch as the water faucet would turn on right there in front of them. Nobody touching it or anything like that. They would just watch it. Then it said, several guests in the past have witnessed shadowy figures without anybody nearby to cast a shadow. These may have been the spirits of specters ranging from Union soldiers to those who succumbed to the yellow fever. One sighting of one sighting of a ghost was a Union soldier missing his arm, roaming through the halls, uh, has also been reported. That is
Okay.
that is what I found for just the apparent hauntings, which then it goes into the room 414. Uh,
Okay. Well, let me tell you what caused the yellow fever.
right.
It says yellow fever is a viral hemorrhagic fever that is transmitted by infected mosquitoes. It
Lovely.
is endemic to tropical and subtropical regions of Africa and South America. The history of yellow fever was first described in the 17th century in West Africa.
Mm.
It spread to the Americas in the 18th century, causing major epidemics in cities like Philadelphia and New York. The disease was eventually controlled through vaccination and mosquito control. Holy crap, I'm smacking every mosquito I see from this point on. I'm going to get me one of them little zapper tennis racket thingies. I can just whack them. It's like whack a mole, only it's a mosquito. And
Interesting.
it says transmission. Yellow fever is transmitted by the bite of an infected. Oh, I'm not even going to try to say that. It's a mosquito, okay? They got some fancy name here, and then it says mosquito.
They have the scientific name, yeah. So,
Aedes aegypti, and yeah, forget it. I'm killing it.
yeah, no.
I'm literally killing it.
um,
So it says blood of an infected. Let's see wait a minute, which basically was a mosquito. Okay,
it was
the
a
virus is
parasite.
also present in the blood of infected animals such as monkeys and can be transmitted through contact with their blood or body fluid. So I'm assuming if the mosquito bites the monkey,
Yep.
and then a mosquito comes and bites me,
Yep.
I'm gonna get it.
Yep.
Only thank God, I think I've been vaccinated, but as old as I am, those vaccines probably done wore off by now.
That's crazy. So we also, or not we, but I also looked just because I was curious because you said mosquitoes. It's not the same thing as malaria, but it is spread the same way,
Okay.
which is by infected mosquitoes.
Right.
So it's two different diseases, just they're
So,
spread by the same thing.
so symptoms of yellow fever. I'm going to watch out for these things. Okay, everybody better watch out. So listen close. Uh, let's see. Symptoms of yellow fever typically appear 3 to 6 days after infection and can include fever, headache, muscle aches, nausea, vomiting, and here come the ones I'm going to watch out for. Jaundice, which is yellow skin or eyes. This is the last one is the one I'm definitely watching out for. Bleeding from the nose, gums, or eyes.
Ouch.
What
That
happened?
sounds like it's more viral than it does parasitic.
That's some scary stuff. If I start bleeding from the eyes, Kayla, call the doctor.
It's like a brain hemorrhage,
Exactly.
which is
Now,
viral. Not anyways. I'm not even going to get into that. We're not even talking about that. That's not even
nope.
what this show is about.
Well, see, I was bleeding from the eyes just the other day. I had my costume on and my mask. It's hanging over there on the wall. I don't know if you can see it. And I'm bleeding from the eyes.
No, you can't really see it. Anyways, continuing on. Room 414.
Okay.
Talking
Sorry,
about
guys.
ghosts. All right. So it goes from apparent hauntings to room 414. So apparently room 414 is where how many times can I say that? Anyways, is where most of the
414?
where most of the hauntings take place. And what it says is one guest who stayed at the Marshall House has a story to tell about a specific room. That room is number 414. The room is located on the 4th floor, obviously, of the building and is known by staff as the most haunted room in the building. Figures. What they say is there have been reports of doors closing on their own, child laughter with no child present, and items going missing. One guest said said that they've literally lived in haunted houses, but were even more creeped out by the activity going on in the Marshall house. While there are no names to connect to these several of these spirits that may be in or around the Marshall house, there is one in particular that is said to be still around even to this day. In the lobby is a portrait of Mary Marshall that was painted in 1830. A little girl had discovered the painting and pointed out to her father, saying that she saw Mary Shaw herself standing in the hallway. And apparently that is what they say about the room 414 is that your things will go missing. Goodness, my voice cracked. Things will go missing. The doors will close on their own. They'll hear children's laughter. And apparently Mary Marshall does stand out in the hallway right outside that particular door. Why, we do not know. But it is what it is, I guess.
I guess. In room 414.
That is room 414. So then it goes on to, for this particular house, it goes on to mysterious smells. And some of the things, I'm just trying to see what they've... Okay, so, oh God, that's not good. So what people have said is that they have, in their bathrooms in particular, they have described the scent of rotting flesh.
Ew.
And foul odors.
Ew. Yeah, I don't want to go there.
One worker said that the smell was so bad that it delayed the project by during the renovation as well is when they would smell this. One worker said that the smell was so bad that it delayed the project by at least a few days. Eventually, workers uncovered a grisly sight: human remains from the hotel's time serving as a hospital in the Civil War were rotting underneath the floorboards.
Ugh. Disgusting.
That is so gross. No wonder why it's a haunted place.
Yuck.
That is so disgusting.
I'm going to move on.
Yes. But that was the last thing that I found about that particular house, the Marshall house.
The Marshall house?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go on to do you have the old pink house?
Yep. It was built in 1771 by the influential Savannah family, the Habershams.
Habersham Jr.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And supposedly he haunts the place.
He was a
Well,
fierce
it's
British
a rest.
loyalist.
It's not a house anymore. It's a restaurant, by the way. He haunts it along with slave children and a young female slave. James, how do you say that? Habersham?
Habersham? Yeah, that's what
Who
I said.
appears frequently in the restaurant, has even been seen wearing his colonial garb while drinking ale.
Interesting.
So obviously he still likes his ale.
Yeah.
And he was a merchant. He was a businessman. He was a slave trader, which we know a lot about that. You know, it wasn't the right thing, but this was that time period, so it's understandable why you have children, slave children that are haunting the place too, because some of them did die.
So I have some history here about the old pink house, which was formerly known as the Habersham House.
Yep.
So again, it was built in 1771 by the influential L-Mans. That's crazy.
That scared me just now. The dog scared me.
Oh, sorry. So it was built in 1771 by the influential Savannah family of Habershams.
It then say hi to Beanie again. Here she is.
It then says Jim Habersham was one of Savannah's earliest settlers and was one of the wealthiest men in Georgia at the time. He was a fierce British loyalist and was behind the push to ban slavery in Georgia. Habersham was one of the pioneers of Georgia's cotton industry and was one of the first men to send Georgia-grown cotton back to England.
Yep.
It then says Habersham had 3 sons, and unlike their father, they were anti-British, which angered their father. They all joined the Sons of Liberty, a colonial separatist movement. James Jr., Habersham's eldest son, decided to use his financial connections to fund the Americans during the Revolutionary War instead of fighting directly. Then it says, as for the home, James Habersham had the house built in 1771, but due to the outbreak of the Revolutionary War, construction had been delayed. The British occupied the home during the war and fueled the Habersham children's angst against the British.
Oh boy.
10 years after the finish of the house in 1789, James Habersham Sr. died in the house. His eldest son also passed away in the home, as well as a few of the enslaved people that Habersham kept in the home, many of which were children. They often fell ill with yellow fever. Oh, God. The building had passed through a couple of hands and survived some of Savannah's worst ties. The Habersham House survived a massive fire in 1796, while 200 other buildings nearly burnt to the ground. This was due to the brick construction of the home. In 1812, the building became a branch of Palanker's Bank, the first bank in Georgia. The home also witnessed 3 wars and being seized by occupying forces twice. Union troops even used the home as barracks.
I will be right back. I'm listening.
When they occupied the city in 1864. Jim Williams, one of Savannah's leading preservationists, helped to restore the home in the 1960s. So there's that. That is the history of the Habersham House before it became the Old Pink House.
Right, which is...
And it became the Old Pink House completely by accident. They wanted the house to be white, but because of the red bricks being overlaid by white plaster, the rain and humidity caused the bricks to bleed through and the paint to give it a pink color.
Correct.
Let's see. So moving on to spirits of the Old Pink House, it says, with the deaths that occurred in the home, it truly is no surprise that a few resident spirits living in the pink home, live in the pink home. One of which is said to be the ghost of James Habersham Jr., who is rumored to have hanged himself in the basement when the tavern is now located. That's crazy. That's actually crazy. Then it says, legend tells that he learned that his wife was having an affair with an architect that he had hired to design the home. Huh, well, I guess that's what happens when you're a freaking douchebag. Anyways.
I'm back. Sorry.
It's okay. He went down to the basement completely devastated by her betrayal and hung himself. Another story tells that he hung himself due to the sadness over his wife's death.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even know when this man actually died. So there's 3 different stories. So that was 2 of them. Then another story says that Haversham died in 1799, with the cause of his death being his slowly declining health.
Right, old age.
This story holds a bit more historical truth since Haversham is buried with his father and brothers at Colonial Park Cemetery. The issue with the suicide story is that people who committed suicide were not permitted to be buried in the consecrated ground at the time. Some did, in fact, commit suicide, but it was covered up to stave off the shame that it would have brought on to the family.
Oh, I'm getting kisses here. Look at that. Did Ty send Venus a heart?
Yes, he did. So that was apparently like the
enough kisses.
What am I trying to say? What am I trying to say? My brain it literally just turned off.
Well, you were saying that, they were talking about they covered up the suicide.
Oh, that Habersham is the one that actually is the one that haunt the ground the most.
However, and it's possible
yes,
because he did commit suicide and he couldn't move on.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true. So it was either he committed suicide and they covered it up, or that he literally just died of old age, and for whatever reason, his spirit is unable to move on.
Okay.
So there's that. But other than that, there are other hauntings that happen. In particular, they hear the sounds of children, which is no surprise considering that a good majority of them all passed from the yellow fever. So there's also
a lot of children did. Exactly. So if you don't have any more on the pink house,
nope, that was it.
I'm going to move on.
I gave history on how it got its color, but other than that.
Well, and that makes sense that you take red brick and you cover it with whitewash, because back on that day, I'm sure it was what we call whitewash, not the type of paint we have today. And you try to cover it, and of course it turned pink. So you know how that works out. So the next haunted place in Savannah would be the Sorrel Weeds house.
Yeah.
And this is considered Savannah's most haunted house, known for reports of feelings of dread, being touched, as well as seeing apparitions of both Matilda Sorrel and an enslaved woman named Molly. It says here that Matilda Sorrel died in 1860 from a concussion. It was reportedly after jumping from either the second or the third floor of her home.
Mama. 1 second, Mama. What's your question, Haley? What's your question?
Okay, we'll wait until we see what her question is.
I'm interested. Somebody has a question. I'm excited.
Oh, the anticipation of the question.
I think YouTube is delayed a little bit. I don't know why.
It is just a little bit.
Interesting.
Not sure why either.
But I'm excited. I want to know what the question is. Are prisons on this list in the podcast?
Are prisons on this list in the podcast?
Not
on this one?
Yeah, no.
But you know what? You're asking a good question, Haley. We can, next week's show, we can look up haunted prisons.
Yep.
Alcatraz being number one.
Yep.
I mean, it's one of them.
You could also do the one where
San Quentin,
Al, whatever his name is,
Al Capone, the one in Pennsylvania.
the one that lost
Yep.
his mind. You could do that one.
Yep. Pembroke Penitentiary. So, I mean, yeah, see, now Haley has just came up with possibly next week's show.
Yep. That'll be Tuesday.
Yep.
If you guys are
Look at
interested in that, at least, because that's the one thing we haven't done. So if you want to do prisons, or if you want to do a mixture of prisons and insane asylums, I guess we could do that too.
Well, yeah, we could, because I know for a fact, and I don't want to get off our subject tonight, I know for a fact that Al Capone, the first prison he went to, he experienced paranormal activity in that prison.
Yes, he did.
And
made him lose his mind.
If you tell me that's what you want us to do a podcast on next week, Haley, we will do it. And you'll find out the story of what drove Al Capone crazy.
Do Yuma Territorial Prison. Hold on, I'm going to write that
Okay,
one.
we can do that. Here's another one.
Before I forget.
She's old, so she forgets easy.
Excuse you.
She's not like me, where I got this young mind.
I want you to keep in mind that you are going to always be 30 years older than I am.
No, I am not. I am going to be 29 years and how many ever months before my birthday? Because you were born in March, and I was 29 when you were born. I didn't turn 30 until August.
You will always be 30 years older than me.
No.
Yes.
29 and 7 months. I will always be. Nope. Talk wherever my hand is, talk to it.
All right.
Okay. Going back to.
All right. So yes, we will do the prisons though. So apparently prisons is what we're going to do next.
Right. So let's see. I left off with reportedly after jumping from the second or third floor of her home. So in other words, she committed suicide. It was said that her husband's alleged affair with the enslaved woman named Molly is what caused her to commit suicide and jump from the second or third floor. Okay. It was then said that Molly, this is the enslaved girl, a few weeks later died by also suicide. She hung herself in her room above the carriage house.
Jesus.
Though some speculated she may have been murdered. Then it goes on to say, is it possible Matilda's ghost may have driven Molly to do it? Or did one of the Sorrell family members kill her instead? Again, here we are. We don't really know. But both of these women died in the Sorrell Weed House. One died of suicide because her husband was cheating on her with the enslaved girl, Molly. And a couple weeks later, Molly was either driven to kill herself by Molly's ghost, or somebody in the family killed her out of revenge for what happened to Mrs. Sorrell, Matilda, whatever.
Interesting.
So, that's pretty sad, and I can understand how, both of them would still be unsettled in this house, haunting it.
Right. So I have a little bit.
Thank you.
I'm
going to suggest the Missouri State Penitentiary for Prisons also. Okay, well,
I wrote that one down as well.
We will look that up too, Haley.
Yes, I wrote both of those down, and I wrote down next to them who suggested which one. So we have both of those.
I appreciate anybody that's watching the show that, even if you're not, texting here or putting a message into the messages, you can DM me, or you can DM X if you know X. And if you got something you want us to talk about, please feel free to let us know, and we'll look it up. That's
They
what
know
the
me. They
show's
know
about.
how to reach me. I'm reachable. All
I
right.
just knock on the wall next door.
She does. Right. So I have, why is the Sorrel Weed House haunted? So I have a little bit of history. Obviously, I don't know why I end up finding all the history on the places, but you know what? I guess it's my thing. I'm the history finder. I don't know. So what it says is the house was residence to the Sorrel family. Francis Sorrel was a wealthy plantation owner, though his life was marred with tragedy and scandal. After the death of his first wife, Francis married his late wife's younger sister, Matilda. She then committed suicide after catching Francis in an affair with Molly, one of his slaves. A few
Mhm.
weeks later, Molly was also found dead in an apparent suicide. The ghosts of both nuh the ghosts of both Molly and Matilda still haunt the house to this day. Visitors have experienced a dark energy in the house and sometimes feel like they're being choked to death.
Oh my.
Yeah, another
See,
thing.
now that might be Molly,
Yeah,
because Matilda jumped, so she would have had a head injury. But the choking, supposedly she hung herself.
right.
Okay. So that could, explain the choking feeling.
Right. So it also says others report feeling drowsy upon entering the building. Much of the dark energy comes from the hundreds of dead soldiers who died during the siege of Savannah, as the bloodiest battles were fought at nearby Madison Square.
And
Some
that's
experts
possible.
say there may be soldiers buried underneath the Sorrel Weed house,
Oh my
which would
goodness.
explain why it's so haunted.
Mhm.
Because I think one thing that we all learned is that one, you do not build on Indian burial sites, and you do not build on top of the dead. You
No,
just
you
don't.
don't. You don't do
Uh,
it.
it's the worst kind of luck and energy you could possibly ever do to yourself. You just don't do it. And I know it's easier said than done because every place in the United States most likely has some type of death on it. But when you know that there's been a battle there, such as the Siege of Savannah, and you build on top of it, you're kind of just asking for the trouble at that point.
Correct.
So,
And that's
yeah.
kind of crazy. Now, are we done? We're done with the Searle house. I'm going to move on to the last part of this before we end the show tonight. And that would be the
How did you say
Mon-
Matilda died? You said she
Matilda.
jumped to her death, right?
Matilda jumped from either the second floor or the third floor of the Sorrel Weed house, and died of concussion, because she was found outside and they took her back into the house, and she died, several hours after the incident. Back then, they it would have been a head injury, a concussion, whatever.
Right,
I
okay.
would it could have been brain trauma. In those days they didn't know a concussion from brain trauma. So
And you said that you said Molly hung herself. Yeah, okay. So
Molly was said to
Matilda
have, she
committed
was
suicide.
found, yeah, Matilda's committed suicide, and then, it said that Molly committed suicide in the carriage house.
Okay.
Okay. Supposedly threw a rope over a beam in where she lived in her room, and she hung herself. But it's also, they said that, did did Matilda haunt her and make her kill herself, drive her to kill herself, or did a family member kill Molly and make it look like suicide?
Right.
They never said.
I had that happen at the Lep mansion, and it was a man who said it. Oh gosh.
Oh, goodness.
Oh gosh.
So
What the
now
heck?
we're going to move on to the last area in Savannah, and that would be the Monterey Square.
Oh, you didn't want me to read about the
Oh, what?
soldiers? Oh, wait, hold on. If there's
Go
anything
ahead.
worth mentioning, Madison Square. Okay, so basically this battle, the Siege of Savannah, happened during
Hmm.
the American Revolutionary War. It
Again.
was a joint effort of the American and French forces attempting to push the British out of Savannah, who had taken the city a year earlier. It's not telling me what year though that this happened, because obviously the Revolutionary War happened over
Right.
the course of a few years.
Oh,
So
it was 18 something, so you know that. Oh
right.
no, that was no, that was Civil War. Sorry, wrong one.
No, yeah, but before that. So the
Whoops.
Revolutionary War, it's not saying exactly what year, but they're saying that they have been fighting prior to this. The year before they had taken over, they were then trying to push them out. And
Right.
then what it says is the Revolutionary Army was both outmanned and outgunned. Bodies were piling up fast. The revolutionaries dug a trench at the Madison Square to bury their dead. Hundreds of soldiers died in the span of a few weeks. In the heat of the battle, the dead and injured couldn't be differentiated. Sick and injured soldiers were thrown into the pit with the dead and were often buried alive.
Oh my goodness.
After the
Well, that
battle,
right there would cause a major haunting. You're buried alive.
yeah. And then it says, after the battle, the bodies were never exhumed. The city continued to expand around the old battlefield. Madison Square and the surrounding areas were built in the 1830s, 50 years after the war. Many of the buildings, including the Sorrel Weed House, are built over the remains of dead soldiers. Damn.
That's bad. Okay, so the Revolutionary War we're talking about, right,
Yeah.
was April 19th, 1775 to September 3rd, 1783. So that took place in that time period that I just gave you.
Right. Jesus.
So now the Monterey Square, okay, and this is where we're going to end this tonight.
Right.
I don't know if you have anything on it, but it says here, it says it's rumored to be haunted by a few spirits. The most notable Revolutionary War hero was General Kazimierz Pulaski. And when I was reading this, the name caught me, and I'm like, why do I know that name? Because I know that name.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, why? So then I read on. It said he was a man who provided the American colonists with their first true legend on horseback. Okay. Cemetery, wait a minute. Cementing, excuse me, on horseback, cementing his place as the father of the American cavalry. Okay. Now I'm going, why do I know this name? Now, I'm not shy to say I live in one of the original 13 colonies. Correct, X?
Well, yeah, people know that we live in New Hampshire.
Okay. I'm like, the name it sounds familiar. So I'm like, I got to Google this because in downtown Manchester, there is a statue of Kazimierz Pulaski on a horse. Okay. In fact, I drove past it today, taking Axe to the doctors on the other side of town. Drove right past it.
Yep.
Okay. It says the statue that the father of America Cavalry, statue of Kazimierz Pulaski, is located in Pulaski Park. That's what it's called. At Union and Bridge Street in Manchester, New Hampshire. It was dedicated in 1938 and honors the Polish American Revolutionary War hero. Now, here we are talking about Savannah, Georgia, and it does an about face and takes it all the way back to where we happen to be located.
Right.
We have a statue and a park right here in our town named after him.
Right.
So I thought that was pretty ironic. I really did. So, and I thought that would be the best way to end the show tonight with that. And I'm not sure what you might have on it, Axe. So if you have something.
I have a couple different things about this particular area of Monterey Square. So something that I just found, I must have skipped over this when I was reading it earlier, that I didn't put two and two together until now, probably because I just read the other thing. Apparently, this gentleman, he met his end at the Siege of Savannah in 1779. It said that it marked while his death marked a turning point in the city's history. Some say his spirit never truly left the battlefield. What they say is locals and visitors claim to see a shadowy figure resembling Pulaski wandering near his monument, particularly as dust settles over the square. Reports of marching footsteps and faint echoes of cannon fire are common, further deepening the square's haunted reputation. Some believe Pulaski's unrest stems from the mystery surrounding his burial. For years, historians have debated whether his remains lie in Savannah or were returned to Poland, fueling speculation about his connection to Monterey Square. Then it says, adding to the intrigue, visitors to the square often describe feelings of being watched or hearing soft murmurs in the stillness of the evening. Whether Pulaski's spirit is keeping watch over his soldiers or tied to unresolved questions about his burial, his paranormal presence is a defining feature of the square's haunted lore. Interesting.
It's very interesting. It really is.
Then in that same area, the Monterey Square, stands the Mercer Williams House, an iconic Italianate mansion steeped in beauty and mystery. This mansion was built in 1860 by Hugh Mercer, great-grandfather to the famed songwriter Johnny Mercer. The home boasts a storied history that includes triumph, tragedy, and the unexplained. Its national fame skyrocketed with the release of a book and film, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, which wove tales of scandal and intrigue into its narrative. Yet for many, the allure of this mansion goes beyond the architectural splendor or pop culture connections. It's the palpable sense of supernatural that draws visitors from far and near. So what it says is that guests recount eerie experiences such as the sensation of being watched, sudden drops in temperature, or shadowy figures that disappear before their eyes, meaning that they see a full body apparition that will just suddenly disappear out of nowhere. Then it says staff have reported lights turning on and off without explanations, and whispers have been heard in the empty rooms. It says these encounters have turned the Mercer Williams house into a must-visit location for paranormal enthusiasts exploring Savannah. I was about to say Axe 96 is older than me by like 60 years.
Yeah, I think so.
So then it goes on to talk about the unsolved mystery of Johnny Mercer. So it says, Johnny Mercer, Savannah's beloved son, penned some of the most memorable songs of the 20th century, but his connection to the city extends beyond his musical legacy. As one of the most celebrated lyricists in American history, Mercer's ghostly presence is said to linger in Monterey Square, particularly near his childhood home, the Mercer House. Locals and visitors have shared stories of hearing Mercer's signature melodies wafting through the night air, as if he serenaded the square long after his passing. Others claim to have seen his apparition pacing near the mansion or standing quietly under the square's moss-draped oak trees. His spirit seems to reflect the same charm and creativity that defined his life. 96 is a peak year. 92, bro. 92. So then, oh yes, what are you? I hear you pounding. My goodness.
I am not pounding. I was typing.
Okay, so then I have one other. We have mentioned 96 a few times.
And we got to wrap it up here.
We have one. I have one more thing about Monterey Square, and it's the spirits of 416 West Liberty. And it says, just a short ride from Monterey Square in Savannah would share, they share some chilling tales is what it says. Known for its dark history, the building has become a hotspot for ghost hunters and paranormal enthusiasts. The site's grim past includes a notorious triple axe murder and its proximity to
What'd you do that for, Axe?
And its proximity to the Revolutionary War battlefields has only deepened its haunted reputation. Then it says, visitors often describe a pervasive sense of unease upon entering the property. Whispers, inexplicable cold drafts, and sudden electronic malfunctions are commonly reported. Paranormal investigators have captured electronic voice phenomenon, adding credibility to the building's haunted status. For those intrigued by Savannah's darker side, guided investigations offered by local ghost tours allow you to experience the building's eerie atmosphere firsthand.
Hmm.
Despite its grim past, 416 West Liberty remains a vital part of Savannah's ghostly folklore, offering a haunting reminder of the city's layered and complex history.
Well,
So, you have an axe murder, a triple axe murder that happened not too far from that square. So that also adds the haunting within that square. Interesting.
So yeah, a lot of death, a lot of different kinds of death. So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yes.
Because
and that's all that I have.
It is crazy. And of course, here we are at the end of another show.
Mm-hmm.
And next week, we are going to come back and we are going to talk about some of these haunted penitentiaries, haunted prisons.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even throwing, I don't know, a couple. I mean, I don't know. There's enough penitentiaries to do a show, and then another show on the insane asylums. Whatever. So I mean, hopefully, people will keep showing up. And like I said, if you're too shy to shoot us a message like Ty and Haley have done tonight, and Raylene, then just I am me or I am X, and let us know, and we'll try to do what we can.
Yep.
We do appreciate anybody and everybody that has stopped in tonight for the show.
Yeah.
We love you, and I hate to go, but I am old and I do get up early, so I got to go to bed here soon.
She's very old.
I'm not that old, but I'm old enough. Okay. I just had my third 21st birthday, so we are not going to let X do the mathing on that, because she's been wrong a lot tonight.
Excuse you. No, I have not.
Yeah, you were.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah. But anyway, when you said 96 was 19 years ago, that was a bad math.
Yeah, that was me doing quick math. Leave me be.
Okay.
Anyways.
So anyway, Ty, Haley, thanks for stopping in.
Yes, thank you guys.
I know Raylene has already left us.
She had to go
I'm thankful she stopped in. She had to get to sleep. She's gonna start her trip towards another state tomorrow at like 6 a.m. So she had to go to bed. But we thank Raylene for stopping in. Again, Ty, thank you for giving us the stuff for this show. Okay,
Haunted Towns.
The Haunted Towns gave us the idea. It came from you. We appreciate it. Y'all take care. And
Haley,
love
thank you for next stream, for the idea for next stream. We are going to definitely look at those 2 prisons that you guys suggested, and we will get back to you with other ones to join in with it. So thank you guys so much. Love you guys.
Love you guys. Have a good evening. God bless.
Bye.
Night.
Good night.